really creating something novel for my community was really the driving factor. I was like, I can take the dentistry in the 21st century.
Welcome to Mastering the Numbers. I'm your host, Joe Mallo. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Mastering the Numbers. I am Joe Mallo with Elite Edge Consulting Group. We are powered by Focal Point Business and Executive Coaching. I'm excited to have my guest on today, Dr. Bilal Sajid. He's the owner of the Dental Wellness Company, and I believe that's in Chagrin Falls, correct?
Yes, that is. Thank you so much, Joe, for having me on
Yeah.
today.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to have you on. For the audience, can you tell them a little bit about the Dental Wellness Center?
Yeah, so the dental wellness company is of course, we're a general dental practice, but we specialize in sedation, surgery, orthodontics, implants. We're kind of seen as a one-stop shop. And what makes us unique is that unlike other dental offices that may just be focused on what's going on with your teeth, we look at overall healthcare. So we look at an integrated model of healthcare. Most of the time, we're emphasizing mental health. So we're looking at dental fear, dental anxiety, and hence the sedation component. So we have many, many patients who may have not seen a dentist in like 10, 20, even 30 years. I actually had a guy tell me that his last dental visit was when he was 16 and he was like 60. So that's a really long time. And I asked him, well, what kept you from the dentist? He says, I hate the dentist. It's my worst enemy. I'd rather die than go to the dentist. And I said, well, you're alive and you're here. We're happy that you're here. And we were able to get him the care that he needs because we were able to sedate him, but also use what we know in terms of uh, the the models of healthcare in psychology, things like guided imagery, things like real just breathing exercises, that kind of just really helping the patient using kind of a guided model to get the patient through the visit is what we're all about. So we never work on anybody until they're truly ready. And it's like a partnership. So we have agreements with patients that we want to make sure that we're working as partners, not just like doctor patient.
Right. No, I think that's fairly unique. At least I haven't heard of that before in my life. It's my experience has always been get you in, get you out, right? And
Yep.
as quickly as possible. So
Yep.
I think that's great because I do know quite a few people that don't like going to the dentist.
Oh,
So
I would say like there's like 40% of America that just like doesn't have a dentist, right? So
yeah, no, they're scared of the drill, right?
yeah, I'm sure they're scared of a lot more than that. I mean, a lot of people will just say like, my dentist was like, back in the 70s, had a cigarette hanging out of his mouth, ashtray in the corner, no Novocaine. I mean, we haven't used Novocaine since like the 80s, I think. It's late 70s, early 80s. It just doesn't exist anymore. And, it was like just big burly fingers, just gigantic fingers in your mouth, and the guy would just say open. And some people told me, believe it or not, they were like, yeah, I was in the years of dentistry when my dentist didn't use gloves. Imagine that.
Really.
No gloves, no gloves, no mask. Just open your mouth. Let me stick my fingers in there. I can't even
Yeah.
imagine.
You know what? I probably wouldn't go to the dentist either if that was the case.
Right. And then so, some of these people just come back after like 20 years taking a hiatus from the dentist and they're just like, oh, wow, you actually use gloves, use a mask. You know, you have modern technology. There's no belt-driven handpieces, which I heard. I have a patient who told me he went and got dental care done in Egypt, and the dentist there was using a belt-driven handpiece. It was like you had to press the pedal with your foot. It's almost like you had like restless leg syndrome, right? Just constantly pushing the pedal, getting the wheel to go, the flywheel to go, and it must have taken some coordination, right? So, I mean, dentistry's come a long, long way. We use the latest technology, state-of-the-art technology. We can make crowns in the office. We can scan the teeth in the office. No more goopy impressions that you're choking on. You're feeling you're about to die. Hand pieces, we've muted the sound of handpieces with noise canceling headphones. Um, all the intake paperwork is not like, stacks and stacks of paperwork. It's all electronic now.
Yeah.
So it's become a very streamlined process, which takes away a lot of the anxiety to begin with.
Well, and I think that's probably what sets you ahead of the competition, right? I mean, a question I typically ask is how do you stay ahead of the competition? And it
Mhm.
seems like a lot of the things that you're doing are very unique. You're almost pioneering a new way in dentistry.
That's exactly what we're trying to accomplish. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're trying to actually make the floating car. That's what
Right.
we're trying to do. We're trying to take dentistry into the future. No longer do we want to use the wheel. We want to use something different, which is actually like the flying car concept, right? So
Yeah.
we want to advance dentistry into the 21st century. We're right there, and it's really a shame we're still seeing people coming in saying, "Oh, I just had this metal filling placed in my mouth like 3 months ago, and now it's not doing well." Um, I think that amalgams had their day and things were, they worked for a long time, but now we're just seeing that all that metal, that silver, mercury, tin amalgamation in people's mouths I feel like making them more sick. And so I
Yeah.
feel that taking that stuff out is definitely the way to go, and replacing it with some sort of a porcelain or a ceramic is a lot better. It's more biocompatible, and we see less uh, gum inflammation. We see increased aesthetics and just higher compliance with oral health care because they've invested in taking care of their mouths. I mean,
Yeah.
whereas you see people with broken down amalgams, it's not necessarily that they don't want to take care of their teeth. It's just, maybe dentistry back then was more traumatic, and then that's kept them away from getting the health care that
Right.
they need. And those metal fillings are breaking down, and they don't know what to do about it. So
Yeah.
oftentimes people come to our office like, well, what do I do? And so we start off with just that new patient experience, that consultation, and we lay out the
Right.
plan. We go from there.
Right. That's great. It certainly makes them feel better, more
Mhm.
comfortable with you. So have you always owned your own dental office, or did you
Mhm.
start somewhere else?
Great question. So I was an associate. So I've been practicing for 10 years. I graduated in 15, just coming up on 10 years now, going into 2025. And I practiced as an associate for 7 years. And when I moved to Cleveland in 2019 from Philadelphia, I was still practicing as an associate. It wasn't really until 2020, 2021 that I established my business. I opened my doors, so it took from 2021, like late 2020, early 2021, till about November of 2022 to open my doors. And that took it from, how to raise the capital to getting the right location to, all the research that went into it, to actually taking a concept and then making it into a physical plan, to taking that physical plan and turning it into solid walls and a structure, and then marketing that, and then getting patients in the door. And I started off with zero patients. So this is my first practice that I have owned. I've started two other practices for other offices. And when I saw just what I was making in those other offices, I realized I could be doing this for myself and making that, right? So do looking at just like what you could be taking home, what kind of equity you could be building, it was just a no-brainer. I was just like, all right, like
Yeah.
I gotta do this. And I was more than confident in my skills in dentistry, but business, like obviously I learned enough that I could like, run my own office, but I realized just you have to invest in also your business education. So that was the
Yeah.
wake up call for me as a business owner.
Yeah. So that was it the financial, the monetary, was that the only reason why you decided to step away from being in a, another practice and starting your own, or was that
Oh,
really the main reason, or was that it?
financial was part of it, but really, honestly, it's just a desire to create a legacy and just desire to like just working. I think I worked in like 10 different offices over 7 years. I did that on purpose because I wanted to see all phases of dentistry. I worked in a I worked for Case Western University for about a year teaching. I wanted to see if academic dentistry was something that I'd want to do. And it just really wasn't a good fit. And I realized I kept coming back to, I want to be on my own owner. I want to start my own office, my own practice. And then not just having a legacy for my family, but really creating something novel for my community was really the driving factor. I was like, I can take the dentistry in the 21st century. I'm from the millennial generation, right? Everyone's like, says those darn millennials are always doing something crazy, right? But I realized that it's not just about doing something new and cool and inventive. It's also about listening to those in the community, what they're looking for, and they're just looking for a place that they can trust, that their care is going to be the best, that they get state of the art care, that we take insurance. So they also want to do it within a budget, and we've pretty much crafted a pretty great experience for our patients, because they come in here and they feel like they're in first class on an airplane, right?
Yeah.
But it's affordable. And so
Right.
when they see that, and they see just how transparent we are with the not just the price, but just the process, and listening to their not just what they need, but their wants and their desires, and they really feel like, okay, yeah, this is a place I could stay. And that's what we're trying to do. It just, I mean, I'm over the whole old model of dentistry where it's like, pack in as many people as you can, run up their insurance, charge their credit cards as much as you can, and just focus on profit only. Yeah, we focus on profit here at the practice too. It's a business, but we focus more on relationships, and that's how you can
Yeah.
actually make a profit, is if you have people who stay with you long term.
Yeah. I think that that's the right way to grow. So, what are some of the biggest challenges or struggles you've had to overcome since
Mhm.
opening up the dental wellness company?
I thought patients would be the biggest issue, dealing with what they would bring. And sometimes you may get people coming in through the front door that just may not be the right fit. But honestly, I'll tell you what, the patients, just the people who are in Chagrin Falls, I mean, they are some of the kindest, nicest people that have walked through my front door. They're amazing people, amazing patients, come from all walks of life.
Yeah.
I will tell you that HR has certainly been the biggest struggle for me. And I think it's just because we're coming out of that COVID era, and I think a lot of things happened in that uh, during that time where people found other ways to make an income, and a lot of people left the dental field because of being exposed to aerosols and whatnot. So really trying to find the right help has been one of the biggest struggles, the right fit for a practice, and then just managing overhead and costs. Things always get more expensive, so you have to raise your fees, and sometimes that can push people away, and other times people recognize why you have to do that.
Yeah.
So I mean, managing overhead and HR issues have been one of the biggest things, and because of those frustrations, I've actually had a big breakthrough. So by doing that, I think I've just been able to grow as a person, as a business owner, in like leaps and bounds. Like I just feel like warp speed. I'm just a different person than I was 3, 4 years ago. So you understand how to kind of roll with the punches, so to speak, and kind of accommodate and tolerate a few things. And then you also know where to draw a line in the sand and say, you
Yeah.
know what, this is probably not for you.
Yeah. Is there anything, over the course of the last 3 years or almost 3 years of running your business, is there anything you would have done differently? You look back and say, I wish I would have done it this way instead.
Hmm. Yeah, hindsight 2020, right?
Hindsight 2020. That's right.
Yeah. Okay, so if I think that tracking my referrals and networking a lot earlier, I think if I had done that from day one instead of being a little bit more isolated like I was in year one, I think I would have done that differently. So definitely tracking my referrals, seeing where they're coming from, so I didn't waste unnecessary, like I wouldn't have wasted dollars on marketing streams that I just didn't produce anything, right? So like I did a
Yeah.
TV commercial, and like I think we did it for 3 months, and it was like 150,000 impressions that were delivered. And like I got like 3 people who signed up.
Yeah.
It's like and then like of those 3 people, like one stayed long term. So it was like total waste of money. but when I track that, like most of our referrals come from like Google and just like mailers and just word of mouth, like I think 40% of our patients that are new come from just people talking about it. So I mean, that's like
Yeah.
the best way to market, right? It doesn't really cost you
Yeah.
anything. So a lot of it's internal, but the external marketing, I really wish I had tracked that. Like my first year, seeing what it came from. Because now that we've gone through year two, we've been tracking it, and it's really helped us, like, push those dollars where they're going to do the most effective, be most effective.
Yeah.
So, um,
Yeah, I think if you take care of your clients and you treat them well as you do, you can grow. If you don't, then you're just replacing the people that are leaving every year.
well,
Um,
yes, and to that, I wanted to say that you're always going to get some form of attrition. People are going to leave because of their job change, their insurance changes. Um, Unfortunately, people pass away, they die, and so
yeah,
we're seeing numbers that, like, on average, 17 to 20% of your population in your office is going to turn over. They're going to either move away, lose their insurance, get new insurance, um, or they're going to end up passing away. Very few people have left our practice, I guess, because they were dissatisfied with the services. I mean, I could probably
yeah.
think, off the top of my head, like out of the over thousand patients we've seen in the last 2 years, maybe like two people were like truly like, I didn't like my experience here. And that must have been at the very beginning because,
Yeah.
we saw them when I first opened my doors and then they were gone. And so that was our feedback to change something.
Yeah.
And, ever since then, it's been great. I mean, with almost 230 5-star reviews, and we're not paying for those reviews. Those are people that are like actually giving us feedback. Um, you know, we've seen that the changes we've made have been effective.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that you have to constantly keep marketing, constantly keep searching for, new clientele. You constantly have to be accepting new patients. That's the only way you're going to grow. I was surprised to find people in our community that said they don't take new patients, and I was like, really? I'll take them. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. You don't want them? No problem.
no problem. We'll take them. And we're always taking
Yeah.
new patients. We welcome all patients from all walks of life. Doesn't matter
Yeah.
if you have teeth, no teeth, even better. If you don't have teeth, that's great because I can get you teeth.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. I know how busy you are. You had some sort of an emergency before we started our podcast, even. So,
Yeah.
how do you find a way to balance your professional and your personal life?
Uh, yes, like the number one thing that I've been trying to work on since I've opened my doors. I'll tell you, it's not easy. It's definitely not easy. In the beginning, I think I was working like 14 hours and coming home at like 10 o'clock at night, and it was just me in the office answering telephones, scheduling patients,
Yeah.
taking payments, and doing the dentistry. And I'm very blessed to have like four great employees with me right now. I've got a fifth one that works remotely, so there's six of us all together. And hopefully we'll be having a seventh one here soon. But to balance things, I try to have 4 days where I'm just super focused with work, and a fifth or a sixth day that I do all my planning for the following day. And I make sure that I take time out of each day to just spend time with my family. So literally, I have a planner and I plan out time. And when I go home, I make it a habit to really go home first and just say hi to my wife first, talk to her, spend a good 2 hours with her. And sometimes those 2 hours like take over the rest of the evening, and I realize it's just equity. It's just deposits I'm making in that emotional bank account,
Yeah.
because if I don't do that, then that's going to suffer. So if my home life is terrible, my work life is going to be terrible. So I always prioritize my family and I prioritize my wife first. It's just me and her. We have two cats, no kids yet. We're working on that. But I always prioritize my family first, and to make sure that they're happy. And the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing is partly because my family. Another part is for me and to create something new, and to live by what my mission statement is in life is just helping enough people get what they want, so I have everything I need. I think that might be from Zig Ziglar, honestly, but I really take that to heart. And you help enough people get what they want, you'll get everything that you need. So managing that, creating a daily agenda, having something called an early morning success ritual, which is like you get up, you do sort of something over and over again to kind of prime yourself for the day. I take care of all my, money transfers and everything at the beginning of the day. That's something I learned from um, Jay Geyer and the Practice Growth Institute. Shout out to them. They've just been amazing with that. And I mean, they have taught me ways to just allocate my time where it makes the biggest impact. And delegating things definitely as a business owner is something I'm also learning. So delegating certain tasks to raise productivity and to help me free up time so I can use that for my family, what's important in life, serving patients, serving God, those kinds of things. That's how I balance it. Is it perfect? No, it's not. It's like every day I'm trying to work on that. And some days, I hit it out of the park. I'm like, yes, everything just went according to every minute I was doing something. And then other times it's just like I get home and I'm like, my whole day, I felt like I should just go back to sleep, start it all over again.
We all have those bad days.
Yeah.
I think it's great that you're planning already. You're using your calendar to make sure that you have that time for your family in there. You don't have kids yet, but what I can assure you is when you do, they will take up a decent amount of your time as well. So at least you're
Yeah.
already working on it. And although it's incredibly rewarding,
Uh, uh,
having
yeah.
kids. So
I'm only I get the how do you want to say this? Like maybe like this, I don't want to call it the side effect. It's just more like, yeah, I'm an uncle, so I get all the good parts of it. And
yeah,
then like whenever it comes to like actually parenting, I'm like, hey, here you go. And I give it back to my
yeah.
sister. And she can go ahead and take care of the kids. But yeah, I mean, being an uncle is great. I have many, many nieces and nephews. It's just we get asked that question all the time. It's like, when are you gonna have your own? And we're like, well, whenever God blesses us, well, we'll have kids. So
That's right. That's right. Well, so with all the busyness that goes on, I mean, how do you stay motivated? How do you stay focused?
definitely having a mission statement. I know it's cheesy, but most people think of like a mission statement in a business. You got to have a life mission statement. Like I said, mine is just helping those get what they want. So I have everything that I need. Uh, really stewarding over the people that come through my door, seeing them as, entrusted to me. And I have to definitely uh, take take care of that. I have to take care of those patients, not betray any sort of trust that's given to me by them. People are trusting me with their health, with their lives, and every day that they do that, I'm honored to do that. That's something I take very seriously, and that's what keeps me motivated. Because I always look at it like this, like, if I had gone into my office, would I want to be treated as a person? And every day I walk out saying, yeah. And if there ever comes a time where I'm just like, man, I would not want to go to my practice, that means there's a big, big problem. That probably means there's something that we would have to look at in order to rectify that and change that. So just having a mission statement keeps me motivated and focused. I mean,
Yeah.
having 10-year plans, looking at what you're going to do in 10 years keeps me motivated and focused. I try to work my plan as much as I can. Um, and then just reminding myself, like getting up in the morning, like, why am I doing what I'm doing? And that early morning success ritual really helps. It just helps me to reiterate why I'm doing it, just practicing a mantra or doing some meditation or, connecting with a higher power, connecting with God, whatever your faith is for those listening out there. I mean, just having that has helped me a lot.
Yeah.
And, obviously some motivation comes from a lot of other places. So I do a fair amount of reading. So I also do something called from John Maxwell. It's called a daily reader. I read one page from there. And sometimes you pick up something from, like whether it's attitude or whether it's just, planning or whatever it may be, you pick up something from there and that kind of refreshes your outlook on life just that morning. You're just kind of like, oh, that's something for me to do. So I set daily goals, small things that are achievable. And then I set like one really like shoot the moon type of thing, like that challenges me. And if I achieve that, I celebrate it, right? And I try to celebrate things too. So that's also what keeps me motivated.
Yeah, that's great. So you have to celebrate the wins.
Mhm.
So you have to make it exciting. So where do you see your business in the next 12 to 36 months?
12 to 36 months. So we're definitely looking at an upward trend. I just actually had a meeting with our annual meeting with our accountant, but I think there's two ways to answer this question. It's more like vision and then one like what's actually happening, right? Vision wise, I see us definitely at least growing by 20% within the next 12 months. So with that in mind, we're going to be equipping a room. We're definitely going to be growing. We're going to be seeing more patients. We're expanding our social media presence, so that's just another way for us to reach people in the community and Cleveland, Northeast Ohio at large. We're adding more services, so that's definitely going to be a draw. So all we're seeing right now is an upward trajectory, and I know that sounds almost like some people be like, oh yeah, upward trajectory. Everyone's going to say that, and it might even come off as a little cocky. But I believe in what we're doing. I believe in why we're doing what we're doing, and it, I can only see us going up because when I hear people tell me, this is way different than my dental practice, I actually feel calm here at a dental office, which is astounding. That means we're doing something right. That means we're hitting our mission statement in life. And there's no way you could go downward if all you're about is taking care of your fellow human being. You're doing the right thing for the right reason.
Yeah,
So I only see us going up from here.
yeah, that's also I can't wait to watch it. Over the years. So what's the best business advice anybody's given you?
There's a lot of advice people have given me for business. But I think what I just mentioned is probably the best business advice. Do the right thing for the right reason. Take care of your customer, and everything else will take care of itself. I think creating raving fans is one of the things that someone told me. He's an orthodontist. His name is Dr. Dan Gurman. He owns a company here in Cleveland, Ohio called uh, OrthoBrain. And he told me, create raving fans, treat them like you're not going to see them again, and create raving fans. And whatever your business model is, whatever your customer service is, you want to create raving fans because they're going to talk about you, they're going to tell people about you, and your business is just going to grow because of that. So I would say yes. I mean, I do follow Dr. Dan Gurman's philosophy from OrthoBrain, an amazing orthodontist. He told me once. He goes, Bilal, create raving fans, and that's what we're all about.
Yeah, that's great. Uh, Last question, and I'll let you off the hot seat.
Yeah, sure.
Um, what kind of advice would you give to, a business owner that's maybe a couple years into running their business, and maybe they're struggling a little bit, they're stressed out, things aren't going
Mhm.
as well as they had hoped.
Right. So whenever people ask me for advice, I always look at myself and I say, could I give that advice to myself first?
Yeah,
I would first of all be extremely humbled or honored if somebody asked me for advice because I don't know if I'm always the best person to ask for advice because I'm always learning, I'm always growing. But if there was somebody out there, like a fellow dentist who's like in a startup and they're 2 years in and they're just like, man, I mean, and I don't know if I made the right decision. I'll tell them that, I thought that too. Everybody thinks that. I think it's totally normal. If they're struggling, I would ask them, look over your systems. Do you have systems in place? Are you trying to curb your overhead with unnecessary spending? How do you relate to your patient? Do you have a new patient, tour in place? Do you spend time creating value with your patient? How do you create value with your patient? Are you implementing a system that increases productivity? Where are your marketing dollars going? Just looking at those things, tracking those things on a daily, weekly, monthly basis could mean all the difference between you being frustrated and you being extremely happy with your business. And I'll tell you another thing is that frustration breeds breakthroughs. You'll be frustrated, so it's going to force you to do something to change. And the thing is, you have to be open to that change and willing to accept that sometimes it could be you that's getting in your own way.
Yeah. So almost like having a mentor, right?
Mm.
Somebody that's been there, done that, that you can bounce ideas off of.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, just take a look at yourself. I mean, you've got
Yeah.
the successful business that you mentor people for work-life balance, and having a mentor is always a big bonus. I have many mentors that I reach out to, um, sometimes on a daily basis, sometimes several times a day, because I just don't know
Yeah.
the answer to something. So that all comes from networking and spending time finding the people that are doing really well in your field and making friends with them and then asking them and trying to emulate what they do. And I'm not saying that you have to be them per se, but if you hang around the people that are who are successful in your business in your career, you're going to probably be successful too, because you're going to pick up the things that
Yeah.
they're doing that made them successful.
Yeah. So that is good advice. So listen, I really, really appreciate you taking time. I
Oh,
know how
thank
busy
you.
you are. It was a pleasure to have you on. I learned a lot, and hopefully everybody else did as
Yeah.
well. If anybody wants to get a hold of you or wants to stop
Mhm.
by and visit the dental wellness company, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Well, first of all, Joe, thank you again for taking time out of your busy schedule to
Yeah.
interview me. And thank you everyone out there for listening. If you need to get a hold of me, my name is Dr. Bilal Sajid. I'm the owner of the dental wellness company in Chagrin Falls, Ohio. You can Google us. You can search us on the web at www.thedentalwellness.co. And our phone number here is 440-996-5023. We're happy to accept any and all new patients of all walks of life. If you're scared of the dentist, you're not scared of the dentist, you have teeth, you don't have teeth, we're more than happy to help.
Great, great. Well, I wish you all the best and look forward to seeing all your success. Everybody out there watching, mastering the numbers, we appreciate you listening in, and everybody else, we'll catch you again on the next episode. Take care. You've just tuned into another episode of Mastering the Numbers. We hope you found valuable insight to boost your financial success. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite platform and leave us a review. Keep pushing forward, and thanks for listening.